Please wait. Wow. There we go. We're streaming. So, and then I will record.
My budgies are making.
And we are live, but I've got to get this on the button. There we go. We're recording. All right. We are here today celebrating the launch of Junie Swadron's beautiful book, Rewrite Your Life. If anybody has their copies, hold them up. Oh, Junie.
I love you, Brooke.
There we are. This is a day of great celebration, and it's such joy to be able to bring this wonderful book to the world. So we have with us, I want everybody have a chance to introduce themselves and the role that they each played in working with Junie, and just the history behind what brought this book to the world. We start with you, Junie, our esteemed author. Let's talk about how this path you've been on for a very, very long time, and what motivated you to bring this particular book to the world.
Thank you so much, Becky. Well, I wrote the first edition of Rewrite Your Life, a transformational guide to writing and healing the stories of our lives. I believe it was 2009, quite a while ago. And over these many years, because I also have a program that goes with the book, thousands of people have actually rewritten the painful stories of their past. And it seemed like, it was just had its own momentum. And also with the program that I have, and I've certified several people to become Rewrite Your Life coaches, because I was actually going to passed the torch, because I've been doing it for 20 odd years. And the program, and then the book followed the program. And then this year I was diagnosed with inoperable cancer in February of this year. And I am that Rewrite Your Life queen.
You are.
There were times when I just did not know how to rewrite the story that felt so dire. Just even months ago, I wondered whether I would live. And it was a very hard journey for me. And I just kept trying to come back to my heart. And I thought, okay, pick up your book. Well, I picked up Rewrite Your Life, exactly, and realized, oh my gosh, there are more stories now inspired by my cancer journey. And I've been using the exercises and the processes in that book to help me heal. So I was using it for myself as well. And it's a proven. It's got lots of evidence of how it works, and that it does work. That when we write our stories or rewrite them or reframe them, the ones that have been filled with pain from the past, with the intention of healing, peace awaits us. Peace awaits us. It really does. When we tell our truth, when we come from an authentic place in our heart, and it's a vulnerable place to be. But when we are, and when we write, and we're writing just for us, when we're using the processes in this book, we're liberated. And I've seen it again and again for myself. I'm sitting here so much healthier than I was. And I'm so excited to be able to have this Rewrite Your Life 2, Peace Awaits You. So thank you, Becky, for saying yes to this project.
It's my pleasure. It is my absolute pleasure. Junie, what has been your role and connection with Junie on this journey?
First of all, number one, I've read every one. I took her course.
You're cutting in and out a little bit.
Pardon me? Oh, okay. Now? Junie's books, Rewrite Your Life and Rewrite Your Life number 8. I've also taken her course, which have
Joni, can we put you on pause for just right now? We are only hearing every few words. So I'm not sure what's happening with your
Oh,
sound. Okay. How about we'll go to Megan? I know you played an important role in this. And we'll come back to you, Joni. I hope we can get your sound.
Well, first of all, Junie, I'm so excited for you. Excuse me. And I'm so proud of you because I've been with you intimately over the last 7 or 8 months, helping you with your cancer journey. And I know how much time, energy, and love you have put into this number 2 of this book while you were going through some of the most difficult times of your life. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Junie and I go way back. We met years ago, 12, 15 years ago at a family function, and we connected immediately. And then over the years, we've worked together in various capacities. I'm one of Junie's healers. I've been her business coach. I've been her editor and her proofreader. And I'm really happy to say, and I'm really honored to say that I've been her friend and she's been my friend as well.
Beautiful. And you played a really big role in the editing of the copy of this book. What was that journey like for you?
Oh, well, it was really fascinating to be on that end of the process, having read her book, and a lot of the ways in which Junie works with stories is similar to the way that I work with stories with my own clients, the reframing, the creating new relationships with the experiences that you've had in your life by understanding their meaning and their purpose. So I've been on that side of the book, but then to come in on the back end of the book and look at how it was written and the ways in which it could show up in the world in a slightly different way, but still bringing through the messages and the humor that Junie brings into this book. I felt a deeper connection with Junie by going through that process.
Very, very good. And thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
How about for you, Tony? I know you two go way back as well. So let's hear your experience. And we want to say just briefly that Tony actually published her book, and I still have it right here. She published this and last week. And what a celebration. Yes, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yes, and Junie was instrumental in my completing that book. We actually don't go way back. We go back to last year though. And we worked for quite a few months. I don't even know how long, maybe 8 months or so. And I had about a third of the book written when I started working with Junie as my coach, my book writing coach. So with every appointment that we scheduled ahead, I had to write the next chapter. So she really put me on a schedule to get the book completed. And we went through it with just a fine-tooth comb, and she was so encouraging with the content. And the content is about caregivers. It's for family caregivers. And so many people have been through an illness, have been on one end of caregiving or the other. So, she definitely had a connection to understanding the content and made it better because of her experience. She really brought her whole self, not just her editing self, to the process. And so it was a joy. And last year we both had interruptions in our life because of illnesses and health issues, but we worked together, and I guess we're soulmates. We just connected and we figured it out, and, brought in our angels, our writing angels, and it just all worked out completely despite the challenges that we had.
Well, that is certainly beautiful. And, it's a journey as we all connect in one way or the other that Junie comes into our lives, and she gives us this whole fresh perspective and a really different way of looking not only at the words that we write, but the thoughts that enter through our minds and how to kind of bring it all together. It just really enriches. Junie has enriched a lot of lives, and we thank you for that, Junie.
Thank you. I think you've all enriched mine, and I just want to say, Tony, it was such a joy working with you. Such a joy. I honor you for what you have been doing in the health care field to help other people know what to do as a caregiver. brilliant book, and it was beautiful working together.
Yeah. Thank you, Junie.
How about for you, Taya? Where do you come into the picture with this whole journey?
Well, it's a long history for me. And first of all, I'm just so happy to be here and to be able to share on Junie's special day. Congratulations. You keep enriching everybody's lives on a constant daily basis just by who you are and the spirit that you are. And I just love you to bits. I'm just so thrilled for everything that's happening here today. And my journey with Junie, we're dear friends, and I think it's going on over 20 years now that we've been connected. And years ago, I wanted to write, and I know I've always had a leaning that way. I express myself very well with words, and I wanted to explore that. And Junie came into my life, and I took some courses with her. And before I knew it, I was invited to participant in the first Rewrite Your Life book. So I became a first-time published author. And I'm just so grateful for the chance to have had that experience, to have had the time with Junie, because she really brought out my inner muse, and I was able to really acknowledge that I do have a gift with writing. And with her sensitivity and her guidance, I was able to just really fly with it. And that particular story, which was about my car accident, helped to heal on so many levels. So I'm just so happy to be part of this. And yeah, my little queen over here, she's just a sweetheart.
What a blessing. Let's see if we can, thank you for sharing, Taya.
Thank you.
Junie, let's see if we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
No, I'm so sorry.
I'm from Toronto
We can't
because
hear
I've
you.
never had a problem.
I wonder if
From.
Junie were to go out and come back in again and check the.
Go out and come back in.
Okay, so we are getting some really, really nice comments in the chat. And so if you can actually see the chat yourself. I'll read them as we go through this. But Junie, let's talk a little bit about why storytelling. Why be able to use writing as a tool for healing, but what is the value that it brings to the world?
There's so many gifts that come from the writing. When we're writing without editing, without trying to make it pretty and poetic, and say things that in a way that maybe we've been taught to speak in our lives, so that we don't really show our vulnerability. The beauty of this kind of writing is that, number one, it's just for us to begin with. Okay, we have a book, and we have many people's stories are in the book, as is Taya's, with overcoming a car accident where she was told she'd never walk again, and she said, "Oh, you really? Watch me." I mean, talk about somebody that rewrote her story in spite of what the doctor said. She was on a dance floor within a year. So, I mean, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. The writing itself will bring you into a sacred place inside of us when we go into it with the intention of turning our stories around, and to heal. If we're writing and using storytelling as a way to just say, this happened to me and it's all wrong and it shouldn't have, and it's their fault. I would never have been in this position if this, whatever. And that's often how we might feel when something bad happens with people. My husband often says, were there people involved? And so we laugh. But the point being is that when we come from a place of really wanting to know the deeper meaning in the stories that have been presented to us in our lives, no matter how painful, there are lessons to be learned, and there are gifts within every story. And that's the intention of what I wish to portray through rewriting our stories in this way. And so it's not just, well, yesterday I went to the bank and found out I didn't have a whole lot of money, or I found out I had a ton of money. It's not that kind of thing. It's really about a deep dive. And so the book actually, and the program, the Rewrite Your Life study program, will help people to, with all of the lessons, with all of the prompts and tools, help people to know where to start and how to do that.
For you, thank you, Junie, for sharing that. And I know that when I published my book, it was like there was some magic that happened after finally getting through telling the story and really sharing from just the process of writing helps you get a whole new perspective on life, because as you write, you really have to think your way through it, and it just kind of connects dots of maybe things that you never considered before. So it's such a, I think the biggest healing that I've ever been able to encounter, and that was the start of my own healing journey, was to put pen to paper and really, really write those words. Beautiful. Junie, can we hear you this time? No.
Can you? Oh.
We're sorry. I would just love to hear what you have to share, but just stay with us if you don't mind. I'm so sorry. So, and Megan, have you used writing for as a tool for just healing and growth?
I have, and as I was listening to Junie speaking, I was reflecting on my own experience when I wrote my book, The Heart's Journey, Healing Hearts Oracle Cards and Guidebook. And in the guidebook that I wrote to go with the Oracle cards, I share very personally my story of where these hearts came from, why they were significant as I was going through separating from my husband of many, many years and with my 2 small children. And that vulnerability that Junie speaks to is so true in that process of sharing our story. As we send that story out into the world, if that's what we choose to do with it, it's going to take on a life of its own over which we have no control, because the way in which another person experiences our story is a reflection of where they are in their lives and what is that common theme that might be there between, for example, myself and my story and someone else's experience. And in sharing our stories, we're not only doing our own healing work, but we're also opening up a space where someone else can hear or read that story and feel an affinity and recognize themselves in it, and then be able to see the possibility of their own healing through the way in which that story connects for them.
Absolutely. Yes. I always say that there's some pillars that go around with the ability to tell stories.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that you become an advocate. You shine the light of truth on advocate for people that maybe didn't realize that there was anybody that experienced such things in their life before. So you're advocating truly for them. You're showing the light of truth on a subject matter that maybe would give fresh perspective. You're a truth teller. You're really sharing some vital truths about life, and then you show the way. So these are all things that are such a part and parcel of really truly being able to share the message out to the world. And I think we're all here for a very important reason. We're here to be the light that shines in the world, in whatever aspect. And like with Toni with her book has so much light in it, because it gives a really, as she covered, even taking care of ourselves spiritually, taking care of you as a caregiver, you have such responsibility, but she showed the light of truth on a lot of different matters that we all need to know about in that respect.
One of the things that I love about how Junie writes and how she guides people through her process of connecting with their stories and sharing their stories is that piece about the not editing your internal voice, your internal critic. Because for a lot of people, that's the most challenging thing about starting to write. And then the other aspect of what she brings into it is that gorgeous sense of humor that you have, Junie, where as serious as the subject matter might be, I see where you don't take yourself seriously in that process. And so you're able to use humor through the writing as a healing tool and show other people how they can do that as well, which I think is just a brilliant way to really bring people into your process.
Thank you, Megan. Well, one of the things that I suggest that people do, and it is when they're writing their stories and rewriting painful stories from the past, they don't embody it. They see it from as a loving witness. So they see the part of the person that they are today that survived whatever that was, and now they're looking back and they're seeing it on a screen way over there, right? And so they can turn up the volume, turn it down, turn it off, whatever. And there's something to be said for when we are able to get to that place where we can just witness something impartially. And it's a huge thing to be able to do that when we're so filled with emotion. That there are ways in the book that teach how to do that, to get to that place so that you can, from a witness place, really, wow, be there with your sleuth. You know, you're a detective, a sleuth to your own stories, to your own life. You're thinking, oh, isn't that interesting? I never saw that, looked at it that, that's actually funny. And it may not be funny at all when we're so consumed by the pain of it. But, you know, I always say that no matter what we're dealing with, no matter what grief, loss, sadness, heartbreak, we can still just savor the laughter of a child or the beauty of a sunrise or, you know, looking into the eyes of our loved one. Or there's just so many things that we can also at the same time, we're so multifaceted. We don't have to be totally consumed by what's going on in the world at large, especially today. I have so many friends and people that I know and myself who are very interested and involved in, you know, in the things that are going on in the world and wish it were different. And many are on the front lines wanting it to be different. And at the same time, there's a place inside of us where the peace resides. Every single one of us has access to that still small voice. And what you were saying earlier, Becky, about being the light, we need to be that light in the storm, that eye of the storm. And so that we can shine our light, and we can't when we get so involved in the chaos. Life has always been filled with chaos. But for those of us who want to serve as an example in the world, to be light and to bring light to others. And I'm not talking about in an airy-fairy way. I'm talking about being real. I can actually say very honestly that so many things that are going on in the world absolutely suck. And the way in which people are choosing, or leaders are corrupt themselves and are choosing certain things that the ordinary person who's just trying to get by can hardly do it anymore, because there's so many unanswered questions and so much uncertainty, and we all want to go, what is going on? And I can say this is really painful that I don't live there. I can't allow myself to live there because it can be so seductive. So we need to, right? So we need to choose where we put our energy. And so to me, rewriting those stories to bring us to a place of peace and joy and into today of all the things that are working, that is where I want to focus my energy, because wherever we focus our energy, that's what's going to expand and grow.
Absolutely. Right. Very good. Look at the comments in here. And anybody that's in listening on the background, you're more than welcome to ask questions. You can post them in the chat. But we have some really, Taya, thank you for writing your story, and a parallel to my story that's from Jan Mills. You and Junie both inspire me. Congratulations, Junie, your love. This is from Maggie. Your love, your light, your love, and wisdom shines through even the darkest corners. That's awesome. And hooray for can't read this language. It's from Astri. Once again, you have overcome challenging adversity by mustering your strong, loving spirit and your community. You are blessed and a blessing. Wishing you a path of only mitzvahs going forward.
Thank you.
Tony, great to see you, but sad we can't hear you. Thanks, Jonathan and Maggie, for introducing this angel we celebrate today. I'm so happy to hear everyone's words of wisdom and celebrating Junie's light. Such wonderful words of sharing. And for anybody that's listening in the background, feel free to post a question or anything else that you would like to do. Let's circle back around to Joni. Can we hear you this time, I hope? No.
Now?
No, so sorry. Just stay with us and keep listening because your face is beautiful and we want you to be part of us. Tony, in your experience in working with Junie, when you were writing a book that is very, very important for our world. And tell what kind of experience it was to sit side by side with Junie, whether it be on Zoom or, probably not in person, but what was that experience like for you and how did it transform the words that you were putting to paper?
Well, Junie is so enthusiastic when she was helping me, again, about the content, about how important the book was going to be. And I have to tell you, the book actually took me maybe 3 years to write. And I had the idea for it 20 years ago and had been taking notes ever since. So it was a big project, bigger than I'd ever done before. And many times I just really thought, well, it's easier not to do this. It's just too big a project. I took on too much. And once I started working with Junie, though, her encouragement was just phenomenal. And she just kept me moving forward. And it was like, once I made the commitment to work with her and saw her light and her energy and her passion for what I was doing, and, and that it really was my passion and my purpose to get this book done, then, it was just so easy to work with her. I still had to go back and write and keep writing. And that there's a big difference between the experience I had writing my book, which had deadlines and purpose and was, a big deal. And I wanted a lot of people to read it. And then reading Junie's book, Rewrite Your Life, and going through the writing exercises in that book. And a lot of times I've tried to write on a theme and nothing comes. And I think a lot of people have that trouble. They're sitting there with paper and pencil or on their computer and they're like, I don't know what to write. But Junie's guidance in the book and her stories just triggered so many different things that I could write about. And I did not have one, major issue that I really needed to heal. And I thought, well, I'm going to go through the book anyway and do the exercises. But even the stories that were a little different than my experience, it jogged my memory. And I just had a beautiful time. I didn't, and with the instruction to just keep writing and don't edit, I just let the words flow out of me. I didn't go back and reread it, but I just kept writing. And I was so surprised that I was able to do that and write about an experience. But her prompts are so specific. They're so helpful. So nobody should get stuck trying to do the exercises. And the other thing I wanted to say is that so many positive memories and feelings came up. I mean, she starts with a chapter on gratitude. How can you not just get happy and full of life and excitement to really reflect on your life and the positive things that are happening? So, Junie, that was such a great way to start the book. And again, your prompts are just beautiful in each of the chapters that nobody should have any trouble like going through this process. And, hopefully there'll be joyful moments for everybody as well.
That's beautiful. Taya, what was one experience that you had as you began to sit down and write that has stuck with you the most with this whole process of your putting pen to paper?
Well, just with what Junie was sharing a little while ago, for me was like, And I experienced that when I started to write my stories, and especially when I came to the story about my accident, that no matter what adversity or what painful experiences we go in our life, there is always a gift that we can find in our stories. There's always, things happen to us for a reason. And of course, it helps if I'm a very positive oriented person, and I try to find the gems in everything to begin with. But just coming from that place that there is a gift there, it's not just all doom and gloom. That in itself for me is so impactful and so empowering and powerful, because you sidestep the whole negative aspect of what you've gone through, and then you can rise and you can shine above it and be that light body, be that beautiful light in the world that we all need so much of more of in this planet right now. So that's one of the things that comes up, and I'm grateful the most, because there's no sense in writing just about doom and gloom. There always is a solution. There always is something that takes us to the next level. And with Junie's work, it facilitates that, because it allows you to look at all the different levels and say, okay, how am I going to put this out to the world? How am I going to present myself? And how am I going to heal myself in the process?
Beautiful. So beautiful. And as we kind of get to the wrap up part of this call, Junie, all of us want to thank you for the impact that you've been in the world. You have so many amazing things that you have done to make a difference. And you have stood up in spite and despite all kinds of things that could have, for some, probably would have put them completely down. And you didn't allow that. And it's a journey for each one of us. But thank you that you've kept letting your light shine, and that you continue through all the things that you've had to go through, that you're here with us, and you're bringing, and I know you have more of these books coming, different types of books, and with special letters. And, those are the things that will last keep a legacy alive. And for 100 years from now, people can still be able to pick up that book and say, wow, this person Junie Swadron had amazing words to share with the world, and they will still apply just as well then as they do today. And what a joy that we have that we're all able to share in this together. It's awesome.
Thank you, Becky. I just want to say that I think for me, the reason why I even got motivated to ever even write is because when I was a child, I didn't have a voice. And I discovered a journal or little diary, when somebody gave it to me when I was just a kid. And it became my safe place. And it became the only place where I really could have a voice and express myself without getting criticized. And so, I mean, who knew back then as a child and a teenager that my diary, my journal, which became my best friend, would lead me to a career to actually help other people use writing for the same reason, to find their voice. And my motto is, if I can remember it, your voice meets you, your soul meets you on the page, and something shifts. You begin to stand taller. And then one day you find that your voice on the page becomes your voice in the world. And that voice on the page, or that voice in the world, could be just speaking to somebody the truth that you weren't able to say that to before. But you've written it out. It's changed the energy. You start to feel stronger. You start to feel more alive, a little more empowered, and it becomes more balanced within you. So you're able to face that person, your partner, a boss, a friend, a child, somebody, with a way of expressing it so that you can be heard in a way that maybe you never were before, because it's respectful and it's grounded, and it comes from the writing process itself. So that could be just that, being able to have your voice to speak to someone you were afraid to speak to before. Or it could be like some of us who want to put books out there. Doesn't matter, but it's important that we have our voice.
Beautiful.
And I see Junie, I haven't been able to write it, but there's something that Junie is.
He's going,
Maybe you could read it for us, Becky.
I don't see anything written from, oh, there it is. Oh, yeah. I didn't scroll down. Junie, and this is from Jack. It says, Junie girl brings everyone home to heaven within. God bless you. That's so sweet. And Joni says, Junie, congratulations, darling. You've crushed this once again, as you have the first book. To say your rewrite your life books and courses were transformational to me is an understatement. Junie makes the writer feel safe, supported, and allowed me to come into my own magnificence. This is her calling in the world, and everyone should allow themselves with true love, with true love, self-acceptance, and appreciation of what we bring into our world in our uniqueness. I've known and loved Junie over 40 years, as she was put on this earth to guide others to realize, oops, it just popped, that we don't have to wallow in our past. Life is supreme, and we are all in this together with someone like Junie to guide us. How beautiful. Wow.
Yes.
And then Maggie says, will there be a way to share this recording? Yes, we will. We will make sure that everybody gets this recording. And everyone, and Astrid says, everyone's sound is breaking up, must leave work calls. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Thank you, Astrid. Thanks to all, because we're here today. And a celebration today to see this book come out once again. If you look at these pages, as you look at these pages, you will find some of the most amazing, not only writing prompts, but she also talks about the Ho'oponopono prayer and how valuable that is in life. And Junie, share what that prayer is before we.
Sure. The Ho'oponopono prayer is, I love you, or I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And it is very powerful. You wouldn't think that those few words would be as powerful as they are, but it's in my book, the whole thing. Dr. Hugh Len, a Hawaiian doctor. Do I have time to just say this about the Ho'oponopono? So it was a prayer that this psychologist used years ago in Hawaii. He was working in a prison hospital for criminally insane people, and his staff were upset with him because he didn't come to meetings. Instead, he stayed in his office and he looked at every single person's story, their what the doctors and everybody had written about them, and he said to himself that if it was in them, it's in me too. And so he just prayed, and he said this prayer: sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And with, I think it was 4 years, they had to empty that whole place because people started just getting well, and they went home. I had used that prayer over and over again in my life for at least a decade since I first heard about it, and miracles happen. So thanks for bringing that up. Oh, Taya.
And Taya.
I just wanted to add to that. A friend of mine put the music to the Ho'opono words, and I find music is so powerful. I'm just going to sing you a few of the little pieces here so that you can, when you're reading those words, you can make up your own song and your own music, because it's so beautiful and so powerful at that level. So my version that I developed with my friend Julie Blue in Vancouver went like this. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I love you.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Taya. Thank you, Julie Blue.
Beautiful.
Very, very beautiful. Thank you for each one of you for being here today, and our biggest congratulations to our Junie.
Junie, congratulations.
Congratulations, Junie.
Oh my God, that was so surreal. 2 months ago, I wasn't even aware I was even going to be alive. Boy, am I alive.
Awesome. There we go. And thank you all for being here today.
Love you.
You're welcome.